Personal finance expert and MeVest founder Lesley-Anne Scorgie joining us on Canada Now. And Lesley-Anne, your latest article in the Star discusses using technology to automate your finances to be financially stronger in 2021.
The beautiful thing about using automations is you can outsmart yourself so that you never forget to make that, bill payment or loan payment, or even to just save a little bit of money. That's why I love automations. And I love the fact that today technology, like this kind of banking automation that we're going to talk about today, is all free and very easy for you to set up.
Well, see, the thing is, it might be free from a financial standpoint, but many would say, I don't want to have to pay the cost of time and effort. But if you put in that time and effort, and really, what are we talking? A morning here? If you do that, then it's smooth sailing after that.
My recommendation is that you do earmark about one morning during the holiday season. You can just do this in your fluffy slippers and your sweatpants, but the legwork up front, which we'll walk through today, is actually very straightforward. Is it the most entertaining? No, it's not. But, enjoy a coffee, have some Netflix on, and set up your automation. So here are the benefits. When you do your automations for your banking, the 6 that I'm going to suggest today, there's benefits for you financially. You'll probably save some money because it is proven that budgeters who use automations, actually, they stay on track a little bit better. So there's actually having more money. But then there's this assurance that you are never going to miss anything. So you'll never forget to pay yourself first. You'll never forget to make that loan payment.
Yeah, that's right. And no late fees and the mental aspect of it all. And because that's the thing for me, like, I don't trust myself. Like if I have to do something, I jot it down on a little scrap piece of paper, and look, I'll prove it to you. Look how much scrap paper I have right next to my desk.
Oh,
that's
wow.
All scrap paper. That's all from old notes. I'm showing it to Lesley-Anne on Zoom here. That's how much I have, just because the thoughts, and maybe it's the parent in me, Lesley-Anne, you could certainly relate. It's the parent in me that will have a thought, and then all of a sudden I'm asked a question and the thought is gone. So I jot things down right away. So it's that part of me that wants to automate stuff, that wants to have okay, I know I did it. It's done. It's peace of mind. I don't have to think about it now. Totally.
So let's talk about the first automation that is just so easy and huge impact, and it's all of your bills. So let's talk about this. You pay bills for utilities, for your cell phone, for even making your loan payments or paying your Visa card on time. There are regular bills that you incur in your household. And the best way to outsmart yourself is to set up this thing called a pre-authorized debit, a PAD. And you have to go to the vendor and say, okay, give me that PAD form, and I want you to automatically debit my bank account when the bill is due. So here's another tip for you. You should not pay your bills in advance. You should pay them on time. And so this allows you to actually follow that best practice when it comes to your finances, is making sure that you're paying that bill on time. So once you have this PAD form from the vendor, maybe it's your hydro company, you submit it to them, and then they're going to give you an email confirmation back, which you can file away in your digital storage, however you do it. And then you should start to see the transactions as early as 7 days later. So it's so fast. Now, I get it. If you run a household, maybe your family, like you and I are parents, there's lots of things, right? There's daycare, there's there's just all the pieces of owning a home that you have to put through. So you might be looking at like between 6 and 12 of these that you should put into place, but just do them all at once and get those confirmations.
It's a good way as well. It kind of forces you to circle back and to look at what exactly you're paying and what your monthly bills are like. And, if you haven't done it already, it forces you to kind of make that list and to check it twice and to see everything that's there and go, I can't, I didn't realize I was, maybe it's for cable. If anybody still has that, you realize that, oh, I'm paying that much for cable, or, well, wait a minute, do I need this many streaming services? Maybe there's one I don't need, because that's an extra $10 a month I don't need to be spending money on. So it does force you to make that list and to see where your money is going.
I love that point, because so many times we're actually not optimizing the full benefits of whatever service we've signed up for. So it's a perfect time to trim or adjust your package. So I'll tell you this story. This morning, I actually did a review of our home and auto insurance, and I think we might be making a move because of that effort. I can now see, that went through the account. I'm not super happy with how much it's costing. And as I did a little bit of internet research, I have found an alternative that's like 20% less. So I will take that, because that's a grocery run for us.
Sure. Yo, absolutely. And I oversee my mom's finances, make sure everything is going okay with her. And what I've noticed of late, because she's old school, she gets everything mailed to her, and she opens it up, and then she calls me and says, I got the hydro bill, and then I go online and I pay it for her.
Yeah.
So I've got to set up a little bit more automation for her, but I'm slowly getting her into all of that, so she has peace of mind of, hey, don't worry, it's gonna get paid. So I'm in the process of doing that for her. But as I'm going through this process for her, she is now starting to get a lot of notices in the mail saying, if we're going to keep up with these paper notices, we're going to be charging you $2 for every one of them. So this would be a way of avoiding those fees.
Yeah, so while you're online doing this process, you simply click the box that says switch to electronic statements. Throwing $2 a month per statement out the door when you have like 12 statements or 12 people you have to pay is a complete and colossal waste of money. I'm going to equate that to you in terms of something that's really valuable. That's an entire streaming service for the whole month. So, that's, and it is like the cost of one full meal if you make it at home for a family of 4. So super, super valuable. And I want to tell you about the other automation that rose to the top of my list. We've spent a lot of time, obviously pandemic has really affected people's finances, but we spent a lot of time talking about emergency savings. And there actually is a way for you to automate an allocation into an emergency cushion account. So you name that account whatever you want. You go into your online banking, you call it the freedom account, the cushion account, but the automation is this. You actually set up a recurring transfer from your checking account on payday to that savings cushion account, and make sure it's something you can stick to. Like, the best practice is about 5% of your take home pay, but let's face it, not everybody has that right now. So if it's 1%, make it 1%. If it's $5, make it $5. The point is this: you can outsmart yourself from forgetting to save by implementing that automation. Some people get paid weekly in a household because one spouse gets a paycheck one week, then the next week. And
That's right.
That's an opportunity to actually set that automation up 4 times a month.
My emergency fund, by the way, is called Jeff's Donut Money.
That's
what we title it. Because, Lesley-Anne, priorities, right? Priorities. Well, setting aside for emergency savings, retirement savings as well.
Same thing. Yeah. And that's the third automation. So most Canadians use the tool, the TFSA or the RRSP. And this is a cinch. You actually have to go to the investment provider. So let's say you have a bank, maybe you even have a broker or a financial planner. You go directly to them and you set up an automated contribution to your TFSA and RRSP. By the way, these people, if they're worth their salt, they will help you, guide you and make a suggestion on just how much you should be setting aside. Like, I'll share with you the best practices to do your best to save for retirement between 10 and 20% of what you make. But if you cannot do it, the person who is like managing your investments should be able to come back to you with like a really solid suggestion based on your lifestyle and your goals of what you could set aside. So once that automation is set up, I would recommend you do it on payday. You'll start to see that money leave your account and fill up your RRSP and your TFSA account. And that is like extremely rewarding to see that.
Yeah, it is, because I've done that. And, as far as expenses are concerned, it just feels like it's money spent. I don't even think about it. I don't even think about that money that goes from one account to another in that regard. And if you are in the position to do so, if you are charitable, and if you can be, of course, during this pandemic, you can also set up automation for charitable donations as well.
Yeah, I love this automation. So like charities right now need money like there's nobody's business, right? Like the need it's greater now in our history than ever before. And so I would just say, if the pandemic has not impacted your finances, why not start to give to something that matters to you? So the way you've set up this automation is pretty straightforward. You can do it online with the website of the charity. And online, they will have that PAD form. And you can fill out that form, submit it. You'll get that email confirmation back in 7 to 14 days later. You'll have that money start to leave your bank account. The alternative, so maybe like your charity of choice doesn't have that slick user interface online. I do think they probably do, but maybe they don't. You can actually call their resource development office and be emailed that same PAD form, and they'll send it to you via email. Then you can just email it back.
Well, and they're going to do everything they can to make it easy for you, because they need your money. So it's good that they're doing that, and we could take advantage of that. What about benefit claims? Automating those, because we've talked about it before. You've mentioned it a number of times on this show. It's money that's sitting there. Go and get it. It's yours.
Yes, statistically, Canadians don't have a great track record of keeping on top of their benefits claims in a timely manner. So I would say a chunk of them do, but there's a whole group of people that just sit on it. And the best practice is to ensure that you have these claims going through on a monthly basis. So here's the automation. I just love this about benefit providers. They've come a long way during the pandemic, but even beforehand, they were on this like digital transformation journey. You can now pre-set up your vendors. So let's say you go to the same pharmacy, you see the same physiotherapist, you go to the same masseuse, fill in the blank, whatever your service is, you set up the vendor so that every time you go in there to file your claim online, it's auto-populated, and it will auto-populate with the current benefit rate as well. So that's helpful for you because you're going to get a preview of how much you're going to be getting back, and you can put it into your budget. So it's like an all-around win, in my opinion, getting that money back into your hands and making it slick.
Yeah, and maybe you can devote that money to your kids, because it's giving it to the kids is not just around holiday time, but it could be year round with RESPs, and you could set up automation for that too.
Yeah, and that's like the sixth and final automation for today. It is RESPs. Kids are expensive, but guess what? If you don't plan for their future education, it is going to be a real liability for your future. So a toddler today, like my little guy, his educational costs are expected to be over $100,000 when he's ready to go to school. So Tim and I are like all over the RESP contributions. The best practice is to try to maximize the benefit that you get from the government, which is the Canada Education Savings Grant. It's $500 a year, or 20% of what you put in, maximum $500. That's how much the grant is worth. So let me just distill that for you.
Yeah.
You as a parent need to put in about $2,500 over the course of a year. Also, let me break that down. That's about $210 a month. And that's going to give you the maximum Canada Education Savings Grant, which will help you in a huge way to grow that money. The other thing that's going to help you with this future liability is the earlier you start to save, the more that money is going to benefit from compounding and reinvested returns. And my goodness, that is really valuable. When you're staring down the pipe, 18 years down the pipe, and you see that liability coming, you need everything that you can to help you.
Yeah. And I'm curious, how soon into your pregnancy did you plan all this?
Oh, early. As soon as we found out we were pregnant. By the way, you can't even set up the RESP until the child is born and you get their social insurance number. But it was like one of the first activities after baby Hank was born that Tim and I did. We were sitting on the couch, relaxing while baby Hank was sleeping for just a moment. And we filled out all the forms, got his social insurance number, and set up his RESP. I will tell you this other thing that we're doing this holiday season, because Hank has so many toys. What we're saying is like, okay, everybody, we don't need any more toys. If you want to make a contribution to an RESP or a charity, we would love that instead, because our house is full of wonderful toys.
Oh, it's a great idea. Having two kids, that's like the best idea you could have put out there. Check out MeVest.ca, personal finance expert, MeVest founder, baby Hank's mom, Lesley-Anne Scorgie. Hey, my best to you and your family, to Tim and to Hank. Have a wonderful, happy holiday. Be safe. Get some rest, because you certainly deserve it. We'll talk again in 2021. Thank you so much, Lesley-Anne.
Thanks, Jeff. Happy holidays.
All right. Thank you. And as we